You hate marketing with a passion, but you know that you need to learn marketing to successfully grow your business. Stick around because in this channel, you're going to learn how to leverage your natural introvert inclinations into marketing superpowers. Hi, I'm Joe, and I help coaches and entrepreneurs grow highly successful businesses based on trust instead of gimmicks and funnels. And look, I completely get it, and I've been there. I have social anxiety disorder myself, but I've learned to have a very successful business and to be the badass CEO of my own solo business. And I want to teach you how you can do the same. In my first career, I was actually a music teacher and I was trying to find myself, find my voice, but I was very misaligned and unhappy in that career. It's only when I had a breakdown in my late 20s and I happened to take a course on translation that I learned a career that I was going to be so much happier in. I went from being on the stage to being on the backstage where I could help people much more effectively. I then had to learn marketing for that business, so I hired coaches and literally I read thousands of business books to learn how to effectively market myself. And I had to borrow from different places to build a successful business, but I did. In the late 2010s, I finally had a highly successful six-figure solo business in my field, and it felt absolutely fantastic. And I went on to found my own online academy for translators, liontranslationacademy.com. So I can tell you that even if you're an introvert, you can learn to be super, super successful in business and be the badass CEO of your own business. So you can still be shy, but in business, you can be super successful. So let's look at 3 ways that you can start leveraging your introvert strengths today to be more successful and grow your business. One of them is to learn to listen. So a lot of people talk about the importance of listening, but very few people actually listen. And yet this is a superpower of introverts, right? So one thing you can start doing is before you meet with a client, whether it's a potential or an existing client, or maybe it's just a business partner, I recommend that you take the time to close your eyes and take a deep breath to calm your mind and make yourself available so that you can really listen to the other person. This way, you're like tapping into your introvert superpower. When you speak to people, they will feel such a difference because a lot of people never really feel heard. They don't feel like they're being heard by their boss. They don't feel like they're being heard by their spouse or their kids. And you know what? When you meet with people in the business world and you genuinely listen to them, let alone offer value and try to find ways to help them, you're going to build super successful relationships like you would not believe. Another good tip for listening as an introvert is you're going to repeat what they said back to them. And when you do this, they know that you are actually actively listening. They have proof. It's very effective. And also people like to hear their thoughts reflected back to them. It's just human nature and it helps us process information. So don't just say, yes, definitely, whatever. No, you're going to mirror the actual statements back to people. So if they said, for example, we're thinking about maybe going down this road, instead of jumping in with a solution right away, which is a very extrovert sort of thing to do, which is fine for extroverts. But as an introvert, you can answer by saying, oh, you're thinking about going down this road? And hold that space and let them explore. This will lead to different qualities of conversations where your clients will be going further in depth and you'll naturally be connecting on a deeper level and having a deeper conversation. So instead of trying to talk about the weather, talk about your dog forever, we'll talk about that in another video. Those things can be effective if you leverage them the right way. But for most of us, going more in depth and getting other business people to talk about their deep core drives and desires and missions, those things will tend to really be effective right away. Okay, and finally, let's talk about the importance of being yourself. For so many years, I tried to be someone I was not. I tried to be loud sometimes when it just did not feel right because I didn't feel heard. It was an awful feeling. Sometimes I clammed up and just said nothing at all in meetings or in certain critical situations. And that's often what happens with introverts is we learn to either mask the fact that we're an introvert by acting in ways that don't feel very good, or we clam up, right? Because we have the fear response. Our amygdala lights up and we have a really hard time speaking. We get the sweaty palms, dry mouth, all those things. So what I encourage you to do is to learn to be more of yourself. Oprah has this wonderful quote. She says, we should endeavor to be a little bit more of ourselves every year. Such a beautiful way to look at it. And that's very much what I've done in my own life. Instead of marketing in a way that doesn't feel good, I am myself, which means that I'm an introvert. That means that sometimes I'm a little bit more quiet than other people, but it also means that sometimes, for example, I need to rest. So I acknowledge now that sometimes after I've met with a certain number of people, I need to go take a nap. I need to be on my own. Sometimes I need my alone time. If I'm going to a conference, I'll often speak, but then at some point I'll just disappear in the day, go to my hotel room or go to a little spot in the sun and just take some deep breaths and relax because I also need that time. And by the way, while we're on the topic, what is an introvert? One definition I really enjoy and that I embrace is the idea that an introvert is not someone who cannot speak up. It's simply someone who needs to be alone to recharge their batteries. Often extroverts need to be with other people to recharge their batteries. For introverts, We can do the extrovert stuff. We can talk to a lot of people, but we need time alone to recover. And so the more I have accepted this, and I've accepted to take naps in certain situations or go off on my own or simply be quiet sometimes and hold space for someone else to speak, the more I've embraced that, I felt so much better, and the people I speak with feel so much better, and I have better conversations. Better conversations means more trust. More trust leads to more business, especially in the age of AI, right? Where our clients can just click once to get almost anything under the sun. So it's all about building trust in the age of AI. So I hope you've enjoyed these tips. We've talked about the incredible value of listening, of depth, and of being yourself so we can really tap into our natural introvert qualities to start to grow a successful business. And if these tips resonated, then definitely stick around for other videos, hit the subscribe button, and remember, build trust, not funnels.